Welcome again to my series of videos on research reports. In this video, I want to discuss with you the things to consider when selecting a journal outlet for your manuscript. What are the things you should think about or you should consider in selecting a particular journal where you will publish your manuscript? So let's start right away. First thing to consider is the audience. You need to consider what audience am I addressing, am I trying to reach through this publication? You need to consider that a local audience, a more, the policymakers, the scientific community, international audience, you need to think about that. That's very important. Then you should also consider what are the aims and scope of that journal, because there are some journals, when you read their scope, they will tell you that, oh, they are only publishing papers on temperate forests, for example. So if that's the scope of the paper, of the journal, then it will not make sense to send a manuscript to them that is from a tropical, that is based on research from tropical forest, because they have made it clear to you from their scope that they are dealing only with temperate forests. So these are the kind of things you consider. So you look at the aims and scope of the journal, and then some will only accept original research papers, and they are not accepting review papers. So you need to know what are the scope, what are the aims and the scope of the journal. Then you may want to consider what is the impact factor of that journal. Does it have impact factor at all? If yes, what is it? You may need to look at that because you want to be sure that your paper, if it appears in that journal, will have some impact. Now, you may also be interested in knowing the speed of review and publication. And how you get to know this is pick a copy of the journal, go through some of the articles there. Oftentimes you will see them writing the dates, manuscript received, they will put the date there. Then revised edition received, then manuscript accepted. They will put all those dates there. So those dates will help you to know, okay, this journal, this is the average rate, average length of time I'm expected before my paper will eventually come out. And there are some, it's also important you take note of this. There are some, they will write to you, oh, manuscript received maybe 2nd of August. And then manuscript accepted for publication or manuscript published 10th of August. That information should tell you that, no, that's not the kind of journal you want to patronize. You don't want to patronize a journal where your paper will not be subjected to thorough review, where the editor will just receive the manuscript and say, okay, just pay so amount of money and then we'll publish your paper the way it is. That's not what you want to do. You want your work to be critiqued. Let it be sent to quality reviewers. Let them review. And that takes time. It takes time. Some reviewers will take about 4 weeks. Some may even take 6 weeks or more, depending on their schedule. And then the thing eventually gets back to you. You make your revision before sending it back to the editor. So it takes time. So getting everything done within 2 weeks, that's just not, that's not the kind of journal you want to patronize. Then consider also whether the journal is open access, whether people will be able to access the full article freely on the internet or whether it's restricted in its access. Here again, you want to also find out, does the journal have online presence or it is only the hard copy that is produced? Because if a journal doesn't have online presence, then that reduces the access as well as the coverage. Then what are the article restrictions? Like I mentioned earlier, or some will tell you, we only take original research papers. We don't take review papers, review articles. Some will tell you, different restrictions. You have to check that out. Then, what is the reputation of the journal? Is the journal good enough? Is it of a journal of high repute? And how do you know whether a journal is reputable or not? Who is the publisher? Is it published by a scientific community or scientific body, or is it published by just an individual? Or is it published by a renowned scientific publisher, or is it published just by some obscure one man one man publisher somewhere? You need to find out what's the reputation of that journal before you patronize it. And there are things you must avoid. Number one thing you must avoid is plagiarism, and this means referring to using other people's material. If it's intellectual theft, using other people's materials without referencing them, without giving them due credit. That is plagiarism. You must avoid it completely as a researcher. Then avoid predatory, that's cash and carry journals. Predatory journals are those journals you send in your paper, your manuscript to them, and then within days you get a mail from them telling you that your paper has been accepted without even review. Sometimes, yeah, most times that it has been accepted. So pay so amount of dollars, and then they give you account information to pay to, and your paper will be published. And of course, they will actually publish your paper online, but that does not make the journal okay. So avoid such journals. They are called predatory journals. And then avoid gratuitous and honorary authorship. I mentioned this earlier on. So as a researcher, you must avoid that. Don't put people's name as co-authors with you just to be able to say you want to use that to honor them. No, it's not done. Now, in the next video, we will discuss why manuscripts submitted to journals are accepted or rejected. Because if you ask scientists, people who have been publishing for some time, they will tell you their experience. It's not all the papers sent out that are accepted. Sometimes you receive rejection. Sometimes you receive, okay, work more on the manuscript, do major revision and resubmit. Some will just be outright rejection. Sorry, and they will just say, well, sorry, this manuscript is outside the scope of this journal. We cannot publish it. So it's rejected. So let's see why, in the next video, we will discuss why manuscripts submitted to journals are accepted and while others are rejected. Join me in the next video.